Hello and welcome to this Against the Storm tutorial on the Ancient Hearth. As I mentioned in the introductory tutorial, this series will be covering all aspects of the gameplay, all of the various features and mechanics of the game. However, with the game still being in early access, some of these aspects may be altered slightly or greatly throughout the development period. When that happens, I plan to provide some kind of update, either with an updated tutorial video or at a minimum as a pinned comment. With that said, let's get started. The Ancient Hearth is one of the two buildings that you start every settlement with. The first one is the main storage, of course, and the Ancient Hearth. The Ancient Hearth, the heart of the colony, is protected by the Holy Flame. Villagers gather here to rest, eat, and receive clothing. If the fire goes out, people will lose hope. So as you can see from that, the Ancient Hearth has a few key purposes. And in fact, it's probably the most essential component of the gameplay. Priority 1, you might say. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to spend a whole lot of time on it. In fact, it will largely maintain itself as long as you have a decent supply of fuel filtering in. Fuel is indicated here. These are all the 4 different types of burnable fuels that you can use in the Ancient Hearth. You can allow and disallow each different type of fuel, depending on your availability and perhaps needing to save that fuel for some purpose, such as an order. Just checking and unchecking the boxes will turn that on and off. Also indicated here is the amount of time it takes to burn through 1 unit of that type of fuel. 1 unit of coal takes 1 minute and 20 seconds. 1 unit of sea marrow, same. 1 unit of oil, 40 seconds. 1 unit of wood, 20 seconds. So while the coal lasts longer, depending on the biome, coal is also harder to obtain or make, or otherwise make. So you may have to, and oftentimes will, resort to burning wood in your Ancient Hearth. Now, you also have a specific villager assigned to doing the burning of the fuel in the hearth. That is assigned here. By default, if you have lizards in your embarkation caravan party, a lizard will be assigned here. Lizards are beneficial for 2 reasons. 1, they match the specialization bonus of warmth, which will be covered in a later tutorial. And it was also actually covered in the playable species tutorial. This worker gains the comfortable bonus for that reason, and gains a +5 to their own individual resolve score. Also, by assigning a lizard here, you get the Sacred Pyre bonus. Lizard Firekeepers are very adept at ancient rites, +1 to global resolve. That's a resolve bonus that affects the entire colony. However, you can assign a different race here. For example, if you assign beavers, they will give pragmatic frugality, which beaver firekeepers know a lot about burning techniques, 20% slower fuel consumption. And humans give beacon. Human firekeepers create a special link with the citadel. The Queen's Impatience grows 25% slower. So if you have, for example, a glade event where it's radically increasing your impatience growth, both items of which will be covered in later tutorials in more depth, you could assign a human to the hearth temporarily to counteract some of that effect. If you were for some reason very low on fuel, say if you have a cornerstone that, or some other effect that causes trees to be harder to chop, you could assign a beaver to the hearth to slow the fuel consumption burn, slow the burn of the fuel, the consumption of the fuel, and thereby make it last a little bit longer. Or if for some reason you just happen to be very low on all sources of fuel, you could also use it then. But I think most people will default to the lizard as the game does, and may even leave it in that state throughout the course of the game. The fourth race, Harpies, which are not featured here, offer a bonus to carrying capacity for all villagers in the game. And in fact, Harpies are, I believe, the second highest priority choice when assigned here by default when you start a new settlement. Now, if your embarkation party does not contain lizards, this will default to another race, as I mentioned, Harpies being, I believe, the second choice, followed by humans or beavers. I don't remember which one has the third priority. Although you should never have that issue. No, wait, you could have that issue. However, if you have the additional villagers within your party, and those are lizards, they will not automatically populate in here. Only the base embarkation party will populate in here by default. You will otherwise have to go in and change this to the specific species that you would like to operate the Ancient Hearth. The Ancient Hearth has another function called sacrifice. By sacrificing wood, coal, sea marrow, or oil, you can gain one of 3 different effects during while the fuel is being sacrificed. If you sacrifice wood or coal, you will gain an effect where your hostility is reduced by a certain amount. Sacrificing wood at 40 wood per stack per minute reduces your hostility by 50 per stack, and you can stack that up to 3 times. Sacrificing coal at 20 coal per minute up to 3 times will reduce your hostility by 80 up to 3 times. So you can see here that both wood and coal can actually be sacrificed together to reduce your hostility by a whopping 390 points. Of course, you're going to burn through 120 wood per minute and 60 coal per minute to accomplish that, but if you have an adverse effect, that might be worth it. You can also sacrifice sea marrow at a rate of 20 per minute per stack to increase glade event working speed by 25%. And finally, you can sacrifice oil at a rate of 15 per minute up to 3 stacks to boost global production speed by 25%. The Hearth also is where you establish hubs and you upgrade hubs to advanced levels. Hubs will be covered in another tutorial, but suffices to say that each hub level provides a bonus to your settlement, and each hub level is attained by having people living within the circle of orange around the hearth, and also having put up decorations within the circle, and other things at higher levels. This is just showing the first level of hub. At difficulty levels beyond Pioneer, so that's Veteran, Viceroy, and Prestige, you also will have a Blight Rot screen tab available here on the hub, or on the hearth, excuse me. The Blight Rot summarizes the amount of blight being generated in your settlement. Blight Rot will be covered in a future tutorial, but just suffice to say that you can find that summary information here in this tab. And then finally, there's a tab here that shows the lists of effects and upgrades that are being applied against or on your hearth. In this case, because I'm in the Scarlet Orchard, I have this effect where fuel burns 25% longer. These tabs only appear when necessary, otherwise you will only see this panel. As I mentioned, the Hearth's effect is covered by this orange circle. Anything that you want to benefit from this Hearth must be within this circle. However, certain things, such as this +1 to global resolve, are spread across the entire settlement, not just within the effect of this Hearth. Tangent to this slightly if you decide to build a small hearth in an area, it must not overlay at all with the hearth's circle. It has its own circle of effect. The small hearth does not generate any global effect for the settlement. However, the small hearth needs to be staffed and fueled in order for its circle to gain the benefits such as a hub level. That concludes this tutorial on the ancient hearth and the small hearths. Please check out the remaining tutorials in this series. They will be released over the coming days and possibly weeks as I address each aspect of the game. Also, take a look at my concurrently running Let's Play series, where I go over these same ideas in a practical, ongoing setting. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.